Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, May 11th, 2021. So I want to go back to The Untethered Soul, chapter 15, The Path of Unconditional Happiness. The highest spiritual path is life itself. If you know how to live daily life, it all becomes a liberating experience. But first, you have to approach life properly, or it can be very confusing. To begin with, you have to realize that you really only have one choice in this life. And it's not about your career. It's not about your relationship. It's not about your religion, etc. People tend to burden themselves with so many choices. But in the end, you can throw it all away and just make one basic underlying decision. Do you want to be happy or do you not want to be happy? Do you want to be happy or do you not want to be happy? It is really that simple. And once you make that choice, happiness or not, once you make that choice, your path through life becomes totally clear. Most people don't dare give themselves that choice because they think it's not under their control. So the idea this morning, we want to start building our mental framework for how we approach life. And the fundamental choice, and it is a choice, and all of you have the ability to make this choice. The fundamental choice when it comes to our mental and emotional well-being is simply the choice. Do I want to be happy unconditionally or not? Do I want to be happy unconditionally or not? Who struggles with the idea that this is a choice, that we can make this choice? It's under our control. Who struggles with that idea? Anyone?
Steve, can I make a comment?
Sure.
It seems like only gurus who are in tuned with their inner self can really choose, in my opinion, every single day to be happy, even if the world is crumbling behind them.
Say it again.
To me, it seems like only gurus can really wake up and choose to be happy day in and day out, even when the world is crumbling behind them.
I must be a guru then. Why do you feel only gurus can do that?
Because it's human nature to be upset if things aren't going your way and not be happy because you're upset in that moment or in that year. I mean, how can we this was pretty actually interesting in 2020 when New York, where I live in New York City, shut down for 4 months, and there was ambulances on every corner for that whole time. It's impossible to wake up and be happy. I felt like I was living in Armageddon.
It's absolutely not impossible. Absolutely not. And it is the perfect situation to be happy in. It's the perfect situation to exercise your ability to be happy. And the way you do it is by being conscious and reminding yourself when things aren't going your way, or, life is not happening in the way that you think you want it to happen. It's a perfect opportunity to remind yourself, I'm happy. I'm unconditionally happy. And what that means is no matter what, you choose happiness. And this is fundamental to all of you. And you either believe it's under, this choice is under your control, or you believe it's not. It is in reality under your control. And when you get, what you do is, once you're hearing these sirens and you see people dying, you remind yourself, no matter what's going on around me, no matter what I'm hearing, no matter what I'm seeing, I choose to be happy because it's internal. It's internal. What goes on inside of you is 100% under your control. We get to choose how we experience life. We get to choose whether we want to be happy, or we want to be sad, or we want to be joyful, or we want to be angry, or we want to be accepting, or we want to be jealous. We get to choose all of that. It's not out of our control. That's what makes us human beings. We get that. We have the ability to make that choice.
Steve, would you mind if I made a comment?
No, go ahead.
This is Rena in DC. I have completely understood at such a deep level that it is a choice. And the challenge for me is reminding myself of it. So if I get too many days away and I'm starting to feel negative, I'll go into that negativity, and a couple of hours later, I say to myself, I don't need to be doing this. I can choose to feel okay. And all of that stuff is outside of it. And it is not going to impact me. And I feel it at such a gut level. I feel it in my bones. And it is so liberating.
And this is exactly, it's about staying awake. So in every moment, reminding yourself that I'm going to be happy no matter what's happening. Part of the framework that I'm going to go over is where we get ourselves in trouble, meaning where we don't feel good, is when we have preferences. When we have preferences, and we all have preferences based on our programming. And again, the big part, the overriding theme of this mental emotional framework is about letting go, letting go of our preferences and being accepting of whatever we get, rather than wanting certain things and not wanting other things. We approach life from a place of, we accept whatever is coming our way. So let me kind of walk through a potential framework, and then we can dive into it deeper. So the fundamental choice is, do I want to be happy or not? With the understanding that we all get to choose how we experience life. We get to choose it. And the way we choose to experience life determines the quality of our life. And so we can come at life from a place of survival, or we can come at life from a place of living. Survival or living. That's a choice. Being unconscious versus being conscious. That's a choice. We all have the ability to be more conscious every day. Closed heart versus open heart. When we choose to keep our heart open, then we're living. At any point in time where we let our heart closed down to anyone or any situation, then we're dying. Open heart living, closed heart dying. Thinking mind versus empty mind. Thinking mind versus empty mind. Remembering any thoughts we're having about ourselves are wasted thoughts. They go nowhere. If we're going to think about how to make the world a better place. You don't need to think about you and your stuff. That just goes in a never-ending circle in a downward spiral. Fear versus love. We can show up coming from a place of fear every day, or we can show up coming from a place of love. Again, we get to choose how we want to approach any situation, any circumstance, any person. Negative emotion versus positive emotion. We can choose to focus on our negative emotions, or we can choose to focus on positive emotions. We get to make that choice every day.
Steve,
Go ahead.
I think, I mean, I can only say for me personally, a couple years ago, I had a real problem with the word being happy. So I think maybe some of us struggle with that. I don't anymore, but being happy was so far fetched for me. I couldn't even, you can't be happy 24/7, but you can be content. You can be aware and these things, but I think perhaps some people might have a problem with the word happy, because the word happy, what does that mean, for people? I think it's different for everybody.
It means you're joyful. It means you're peaceful. It means your heart is open, and you can be happy 24/7. You have to train yourself to be happy 24/7. And the way you do that is by being conscious. So don't put limitations on yourself that you don't need to put on yourself. You can absolutely be happy all the time. You have to train yourself to be there. And it's a fundamental decision. So again, we can focus on negative emotions or positive emotions. Force versus power. When we're coming from a place of fear, we're trying to push our way through everything. When we're coming from a place of love, we're truly empowered. External focus versus internal focus. We have no control, none, zero on the external world. We have 100% control of the internal world. Being in control or surrendering. We can never be in control. We can only operate under the illusion of control, which many of you want to do. You want to think you're in control of things that you have no control over, or you can just surrender. Having a past or future focus versus a present moment focus. Wanting certainty, craving certainty, or wanting to step into the unknown. I asked the group last night, what is the resistance? What is the resistance to mindset, time blocking, CRM, process management, emotional intelligence, tactical empathy, measuring everything you do? The resistance is very simple. You don't want to step into the unknown. You want certainty. Whether you like it or not, you want certainty. And please understand this. The juice of life, the joy of life, the experience of living only happens when you're willing to step into the unknown every day. Every day. Until you get excited about wanting to step into the unknown, you're going to be stuck in survival mindset. Survival mindset is all about avoiding the unknown. Living is all about embracing the unknown. And we have nothing to fear. Why? Nothing. Why? Anyone?
Very.
There are no more saber-toothed tigers roaming the earth, except in Houston. There are no more saber-toothed tigers roaming the earth. No one's coming to eat you. Nobody. Do you look at things as being final and forever when in fact everything, and I mean everything, is temporary and impermanent? Again, you get yourself in trouble when you view your fear, that thing you're afraid of, as being final and forever and fatal. When in reality, no matter what it is, no matter how big the boogeyman, it's always temporary. It's always impermanent. It's always going to come and it's always going to go. And when we're talking about fear, most every fear we have never materializes. And if it does materialize, our experience of it is not what we imagine it to be. Remember, fear is the thing that stops each and every one of you. Fear is the thing that stops each and every one of you from having the life, having the experience of life that you want. Fear. And what you actually want is more fear, not less, because fear is good. Fear is good. And the reason fear is good, it points you exactly in the direction you need to go. If you want to know what to do, go right at your fear every time. Go right at it every time. Because it's exactly where you need to go, because on the other side of your fear is that thing that you want. And no matter what it is you want, it's always in the same place, right on the other side of your fear. You can find it there every time. Every time. And I mean every time. And it is no other place. And you're never getting to what you want without walking through your fear. And this is why most people don't live life. They're surviving it because they don't want to embrace their fear. They want to resist it. Again, part of the framework, having preferences versus accepting what is, no matter what is, because what is reality. Having a focus on self versus having a focus on others. Playing to your ego or playing to your highest self. Protecting yourself, defending yourself against life versus being vulnerable, letting all the walls down, letting all the walls down. Being knowing, Knowing, versus being curious. How do we approach life? I know everything, or I'm curious to find out. And the last thing I wrote down, do I let circumstance dictate my life, or do I let choice dictate my life? You may have some other things that you want to add to the list. I'll send it out. This is the making of your framework, mentally and emotionally. And you get to choose which side do you want to be on. You get to make all these choices. None of these choices are made for you. If you go unconscious and you do things by default, you will choose survival by default because that's the way your brain is wired. We're wired for a reality that existed millions of years ago that is no longer in existence. The good news is we can reprogram our mind at any point in time. We have that ability. There's nothing wrong with you. There's a lot of things wrong with your programming. Your natural intrinsic being is one of perfection, infinite possibility, and connection to the universe. That's your natural intrinsic being. That's who you actually are. It's our programming that's all messed up. And we didn't put the programming in. Our parents did, or our teachers, or our coach, or our friends, or whomever influenced us in life. And now each and every one of us get to let go of all the old programming. And that's going to take time. You've got to work at it every day. You've got to take quiet time every day to let all the shit go. The good news is there's only a finite amount of bad programming in there. You're not stuck with it the rest of your life. And so every day, letting go, every day, letting go, every day, letting go of all the nonsense. And that's why we show up every day on these calls to be reminded. That's why we show up every Tuesday morning to be reminded. Because you have to work at this every day. And when you work at it every day and you're conscious every day, you absolutely can choose happiness no matter what. Absolutely. Try it. Just try it for a day. Try it for a week. Every time you're upset, remind yourself, I've made the choice to be unconditionally happy. I'm going to let go of whatever's bothering me right now, letting it go. We have that ability. We can't control our thoughts and our feelings, and they are just thoughts and they are just feelings. That's all they are. However, we can let go of any thought at any given time, and we can let go of any feeling at any given time. When we realize it's just a thought, it's just a feeling, they're all temporary. And if you don't believe me, then how do you explain the fact that you have 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day? And tell me how many of those thoughts you actually remember from yesterday. I want a list of all 60,000 thoughts that you had yesterday. I want a complete list. And the truth is, 99.9% of them you did what with? Nothing. You let them go. Same thing with your feelings. How many different feelings did you have yesterday? How many feelings have you had already this morning? They're just feelings. They're not facts. They're feelings. And your feelings change just like the weather. They come and they go. So you are in control. You are in control. The question is, are you doing it consciously? Are you doing it consciously? And I'm saying to each and every one of you, it starts by building out your mental and emotional framework for how you want to experience life. That is your choice. And the fundamental choice above any other choice that permeates everything you do every day is, do I want to be happy or not? And I get to choose that. I get to choose that. That is called taking responsibility. And what it means to take responsibility is you're exercising your ability to respond to life. That's what it means to take responsibility. You're exercising your decision to respond to life. Life is 10% what happens and 90% or more your response to what happens. This is the game right here. You get this sucker right, that's 90% of it. Don't get it right, you're in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, there's only one outcome, only one outcome. And that is survival. So here's another choice for each and every one of you. Survival or stepping into the unknown. Survival, one outcome, survival. That's it. No joy, no happiness, no success, no enlightenment, only survival. Or step into the unknown. All right, any final thoughts before we wrap up? All right, everyone. Have a great day. We'll be back at 8. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Steve.
Coach.
You.